Piedmont Environmental Council's second annual Meet the Farmer fundraiser dinner here at Palladio Restaurant today on Meet the Farmer TV.
Meet the Farmer TV is made possible by Planet Earth Diversified, Melli Productions, and Leslie P. Jenkins Photography and Graphic Design, with additional support from Feast, connecting local farmers, artists and food producers, and consumers. Culpeper's Channel 21, helping to preserve the agricultural history of Virginia, and Flavor Magazine, serving the Piedmont's local food and wine culture.
The Piedmont Environmental Council helps to preserve the rural nature of Central Virginia throughout the Piedmont region. This is the second year that they've operated a special Meet the Farmer fundraiser dinner, and today it's at Palladio Restaurant at Barboursville Vineyard. Every year, the Piedmont Environmental Council operates a special fundraiser dinner at a local restaurant featuring local products called a Meet the Farmer dinner. Today, we're at Palladio Restaurant in Barboursville, Virginia. Let's go inside and talk to the coordinator, Melissa Wiley, and also talk to the president and vice president of the Piedmont Environmental Council and find out what it is all about. So, Melissa, tell us, is this the second annual Charlottesville region Meet the Farmer dinner?
It is. It's the second annual, funny enough. The one last year was also held on June 10th. That one was held at the Tolliver House over in Gordonsville. We were really happy to be able to have it at Palladio this year for a variety of reasons. Obviously, it's a wonderful restaurant, one of the best in the area, certainly. It's a very large space, so we were able to have twice as many people as we had last year. And since we had the success of last year, we've got lots of great media coverage, a lot of farmers who were excited and willing to participate. And the chef here, Melissa Close, is definitely someone who's been working with local farmers and has been an incredibly accomplished chef in all ways, so we're really happy to have a chance to work with her.
I see a lot of other chefs and food writers, and it's quite a community here of people that are coming out. They're not just members of PECs. How do you reach all of these people? Are they just find you, or do you have some sort of outreach to get these stars of the local food community?
Well, the thing that's been so great about the Buy Fresh, Buy Local program over the last few years is that it really has, in and of itself, created this great network and community of people. So with the guides and with the different events, we've made connections with the farmers and with the consumers, but we're also now doing a farm-to-chef directory, so we've made some great connections with a lot of chefs throughout the area. In fact, Tomas Rahal from Mas Tapas in Charlottesville is here tonight. He's was one of our big supporters on the Farm to Chef guide, and obviously, the press and the media are really caught on and are enjoying covering the issues as well.
We are seeing a real kind of buzz about local food and local support and an understanding that it's really good for the whole community.
It's a movement that's going to stand the test of time. It isn't, obviously you're a farmer, you're in it for the long haul, but a lot of the consumers, who think, yeah, this is really fun, this is really interesting, people wonder, is this just a fad, a trend, is it going to fall by the wayside? But I think we're now seeing that these are really sustained trends, and the interest it's not just an interest, it's really a commitment to a lifestyle and to a principle that people are starting to really adopt in their own lives. So, and I think we see that through Piedmont Environmental Council specifically with our members. We have, we've been around for 35 years doing land conservation and all types of different things. When we first launched Buy Fresh, Buy Local, we had a lot of interest from people who weren't necessarily PEC members, because they were people, a lot of PEC's members were maybe older folks who weren't necessarily, as in the mix with kind of, what was going on in the media or what have you. But they're slowly starting to really, see that this is a program that's having real impact.
So what do you see as the future to reach more people and sort of really kind of solidify this as not just a fad movement or a marketing trick that large chains can say, well, we're local, we're green, and people kind of, there's a danger of people flipping and go, whoa, they're just pulling my leg on this or something.
It's really important, and it's going to be necessary for the infrastructure, the local food infrastructure, to continue to build and strengthen. Consumers are always going to be consumers. We're all Americans. We know how that goes, and people really are only going to, some people will go out of their way always and always buy what's local, even if it's more expensive and they have to get out of bed at 7 o'clock in the morning to go to the market to do it. But the lion's share of people really are going to shop when it's convenient, where it's convenient, and ideally, as we get local food, the infrastructure to get local food into our institutions and into our big chain stores, and just to get it out there so that people can access it in more places and a wider variety of things. And then hopefully also the cost might come down a little bit if the rest of the pieces fall into place, ideally.
Well, it seems like this is a really special event because these are people face to face. So this really is local because it's a local winery, local chefs, and local farmers, and people are actually able to meet and interact. So there isn't an opportunity for it to be sort of a greenwashing event. It's real face to face. Well, thank you for putting on such a wonderful event and sticking with it. And we look forward to the 3rd annual Charlottesville Region Meet the Farmer Dinner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
These are beets, red beets and gold beets, both from Roundabout Farms. And we roasted them this morning and sliced them, and we're going to serve them with caramel goat cheese and some Planet Earth diversified greens.
Sounds good.
And some homemade vinegar.
Well, I'm Doug Larson. I'm Vice President of the Piedmont Environmental Council, and we're based in Warrenton, Virginia, but we cover a regional territory from Loudoun County down to Albemarle County. And one of the many things that we do within the region is promote local food, the whole local food system. And tonight, of course, we're here celebrating a Meet the Farmer dinner, which is trying to connect people with some sense of the farms and the sources for the food that they eat.
So Doug, tell me, how did PEC get started? And is it a new organization?
PEC was founded in 1972. And so it's been around now 36, 37 years, and started both as a land trust and promotes part of our efforts, and what we've been known for these 37 years has been land conservation throughout the region. So we work with landowners to help them put their land in conservation easements, which is a method to permanently protect land. Trying to put, in a very short sentence, we try to put growth in the right place. That is, plan for growth in places where growth makes sense, and try then to protect the rural areas around it. And so, protecting farmland and preserving a rural economy becomes critical component of making towns and communities vibrant places to live, and keeping that balance between vibrant rural communities and open space and farmland. And we're unique because as a regional organization, my office is in Warrenton, which is the headquarter office, but we work in 9 counties, but we have somebody working in each of those 9 counties, so that we actually have somebody attending the Board of Supervisors meeting. And it is at that level oftentimes that very important decisions affecting communities are made. And unless you have some sense of what is happening at the grassroots level, you really aren't able to affect change in those communities, because the decisions made oftentimes in Virginia by the local board of supervisors, that's 5 people, or 5, sometimes 7 people on a board of supervisors who are making major decisions for the community. And we try to help citizens understand what their options might be and provide an alternative vision sometimes as to what might work in their community, and having those 9 regional offices with staff who really understand their communities has made a big difference. So we're somewhat of a unique model, and while there's other organizations that do similar things, we're not part of any other bigger organization. Tonight, the proceeds will support this Buy Fresh, Buy Local guides, and the guide is really just one part of a more comprehensive food system network that we're supporting, so that we feel it is part and parcel of our land conservation work to be able to, as we encourage the protection of farmland in this region, it makes sense to try to make farming more profitable and more viable. And so expanding the demand for local food is a natural outgrowth of our desire to see farmland protected. In addition, we have done a number of seminars trying now to take people who are interested in farming, because we recognize that there is currently a greater demand for locally grown food than can be supplied by the farmers that we have. And so we're hoping to encourage new farmers, and to that end we have done some seminars bringing in people who would like to be farmers in the Piedmont, and working with them on some ways in which they might think through their business plan to begin farming in the area. One of the issues then becomes the availability of land for those people. And so as another alternative, we have worked with landowners who perhaps have land that is underutilized, or they may have land available but not wish to farm it directly themselves. And so we are trying to link would-be farmers with people who have the land, so that we can help them establish interesting relationships that will facilitate additional farming in the Piedmont. We certainly are very concerned about the preservation of the rural economy, and farming and agricultural activities are at the core of that. And so we are excited by an integrated approach that includes, as I say, these seminars. We're working with a local food hub in Charlottesville that is trying to aggregate food and make it more readily available for institutional uses. Where we have helped with a variety of things that expand local food production in this area. So this dinner is a fun evening, but it is an evening with a message, which is that there is local food available. It is delicious. It is healthy. It is beneficial to the community economically to have that impact of eating and buying locally, because it has a direct impact on the local economy. So it's a win for everyone in the region, we think.
And it could be all condos if this wasn't happening.
And we're so close to Montpelier, one of the great presidential homes, and that's the other part of what we do is make certain that we recognize the unique cultural resources and historic resources of this area, and provide the protection that those kinds of resources deserve as well, so that this winery is a great buffer to the wonderful facility at Montpelier. And it does then become a vibrant tourist destination as well. So there really is economic benefit to everyone to see this preserved in this fashion.
There's a lot of thought that goes into this then. It's not just a sort of a one-way street of we are anti this or we don't want to see this kind of development. There's a real, you've described a real interesting holistic approach to the wineries, a buffer for other historic
Well,
events.
I think it is every community, I think, has to evolve with a plan that makes sense in consideration of their situation and their resources. And so that's why it's been important to have staff that are available in each community and working with board members in each community to really reflect accurately what's happened in and what the desire of each community is, and allow citizens to really sort of have those plans become reality in their communities.
One of the things we work on at the Piedmont Environmental Council is trying to find incentives and revenue streams that help farmers keep land in agricultural use or in open space. One of the things we did back in the 80s was get a provision into the state tax code where land that's in conservation easement automatically qualifies for use value taxation, which is taxed at a much lower assessed value. So if you had 100 acres in the easement, you're only paying property tax on the agricultural use, the open space use, not on the potential that it might turn into houses. And that's one example of a way you can make the tax burden on farmers more affordable. The other thing that we worked on during the 1990s in Virginia was a tax credit, and that tax credit is from state income taxes, and if you put your land in conservation easement, the value of that you gave up, the development rights, the other things, is a tax credit that you can use over 10 years. So to the extent you are making money, you're not paying any state income tax on it. A few years later, we realized that wasn't enough of an incentive. A few years later, we worked with the legislature to make that credit transferable so you could actually sell credits that you can't use yourself. So if you're not making a lot of money on farming, you still can make money from protecting your land. You keep the land yourself, it continues to appreciate in value. It's still an asset you own, but you don't have to wait to develop it to realize that value. So we do work on that, trying to find ways to offset the tax burden. This whole buy fresh, buy local push that we've been part of is trying to help enhance the revenue side. What we've learned from talking to farmers, the best thing they can do is direct sales. If you can find a way to make a direct sale at a retail price, then they're obviously capturing the benefit of their farming operation. And so the whole buy fresh, buy local push we've had is to try to connect people directly with the farms and enhance the revenue.
The farmers have a motivation because they want to have the land that they love and the nature and the ability to continue to do what they're doing and not have the condo development say, hey, we don't like those chickens and hogs.
Right. You know, the motivation for people to protect their community is a common motivation. Why you want to protect it or what value you're trying to protect may vary a little bit. I know some beautiful farms that are protected because they're Civil War battlefields. But the fact of the matter is that the battle was fought on a farm, and in preserving the battlefield, you're preserving the farm, and it continues to be farmed. I know people who are conserving land because they're preserving wildlife habitat. One of the things the wildlife managers will tell people is it's good to have edges. It's good to have places where there's forest and fields, and the animals love that. It creates a greater diversity of species. That means that some of the land stays in farming because they want to create edge environments. The motivation of people may vary. The end result is that they're conserving a land resource. And as long as the land is open, the potential for it to be used for agriculture continues. Another example is I've been working with the Mennonite community in Fauquier County. Mennonites have a cultural, religious philosophical commitment to staying in farming. And what we learned is that they were interested in land conservation as a way of preserving their family unity. A lot of them have large families, 7 or 8 sons, and one farm cannot support 7 families. And what some of these tax incentives and other financial incentives we've talked about earlier have done is enabled one Mennonite family to buy 3 farms in Fauquier County, so that Papa can pass on enough land so that all of his kids can stay in agriculture. So in that case, the inspiration is not really as much financial as it is spiritual, cultural desire to preserve a sense of community. So it's interesting. The core motivation often varies, but what's the common thing is people recognize that as long as the land is open, all of those choices are possible. Once it's covered with asphalt, you don't really have as many choices. It really can only be used for, buildings. This region, the Piedmont, is an amazing resource. Over 35 years, we've protected 300,000 acres plus in private land, but conserved for all these potential uses: agriculture, forestry, historic preservation, whatever it is. And the evidence is visible from space. If you look at a night sky picture of Earth, from a satellite or from the space shuttle, there's a dark spot on the East Coast, and that's the Virginia Piedmont. And what it reflects in our minds is the commitment of thousands of people, thousands of families, to a common vision. Each of their farms is like a little glass chip in a mosaic. But parceled together, there's this beautiful picture. And one of the ways you can see that picture is in that night sky image. And there's 100% correspondence. The black spaces are the farms that have been conserved. People have a very emotional connection with land. I've worked with probably 1,000 landowners over the last 15 years. And what I can tell you is that they all have a deep emotional connection. Motivations vary, but the reality of the emotional connection is very, very strong. And we had an opportunity last year to do an event up on Mount Alto, which is the mountain above Monticello. And Jefferson owned it, wanted to preserve it because it provided a view of his vision. You could see Monticello, but you could also see the city of Charlottesville sort of laid out, and you could see the university and everything. And so it's a great spot. We helped the Thomas Jefferson Foundation protect that as an open space resource for the community in perpetuity. We did an event. We invited all of our donors and members from the last 35 years to come up on the mountain, share the view, share some wine, and sort of think about 35 years of work. We were trying to think about how to get each of them to understand what everyone else had done. 1,000, 1,200 easements. They don't know they don't all know each other, and it's an area that goes from the James River up to the Potomac. So it's a big space. Wow. It's 115, 120 miles end to end, and so a lot of people haven't ever been to northern Loudoun County if they live down in Charlottesville, and vice versa. So we tried to figure out how to get them to appreciate what they were part of. And we did a set of slides where it was a beauty shot from each farm. We asked the landowner to give us their favorite picture. Good. So it was the emotional connection. And then we captioned them the same way: preserve forever, name of the farm, the number of acres that were protected. Right, so it's a very standard
I've seen some of those.
Sequence. Given an opportunity to see how it all fits together, they're actually really interested. And they really do see the interconnections of their land with other people's land. But that's a very hard thing to do on your own. One of the things we do at PEC is tell those stories, provide those visions. We have a whole set of programs which we call Envisioning the Future, where we're trying to help communities, landowners, understand what their choices are, and how what happens if they make certain choices, and then at the community level, you're trying to show people what could be. Our vision is to try to protect 1 million acres of land, which is about half of the land area in these 9 counties, on the theory that if you've got 1 million acres, you got to be able to do something right. It ought to be pretty good. and we're about a third of the way there, and that's that's pretty exciting. What farmers do on that land is going to be constantly changing. Your place like this at Barbersville, greatest vineyard minds from Italy come over to Virginia and make it work. That's great, right? That's the American story. The best and the brightest from all over the world come here and bring their knowledge and transfer it onto our landscape. But you also have a bunch of people here, at my table there's a couple that are both pilots for FedEx, and they fly 10 days a month, and the other 20 days a month they're growing apples in Madison County, right? That's cool too. There are people here that run bed and breakfasts. There are people here that raise cattle, that whatever it is that they're going to experiment with, at least they have a land base to do that on. And so that's sort of the big picture.
You couldn't go to Manhattan and start that.
Well, you couldn't. And in fact, what we hear over and over again from people from all over the world is, we've looked all over the world for where we want to buy land, where we want to raise our kids, where we want to raise our horses, where we want to raise grapes, and this is paradise. This is a place where the community has sort of mutually committed, landowner by landowner, public policy, whatever, but they've mutually committed to a future where rural land uses are going to continue. And so it's increasingly sort of like, people from all over the world, all over the United States are moving here because it's so special. And that's a pretty exciting thing to realize.
I started in the kitchen because I wanted to share my heritage. I'd grown up on a farm in the Green Springs area, and I had learned to cook from my grandmother. And we cooked everything we ate. We grew and prepared everything we ate and stored it away for winter and that kind of thing. And doing that gave me a great source of information and a great affinity and love of the land and what it does and what it can produce. And so that's how In the Kitchen was born. I was amazed at the number of people who don't cook, and an even greater number who don't care to cook and don't know how to cook. So over 10 years, I've managed to teach a few people how to use the local resources, how to source their foods locally at farmers markets and farm stands. And as we call it in the magazine, I've taught them to put a face on their food, because the most interesting interviews I have ever had are with local farmers who are really not that interested in what's going on in the marketplace. They know what they've raised successfully from year to year. They keep on raising it. Fortunately, now there's an outlet for that food. There are several distribution mechanisms in the area that give them an opportunity to market their foods. They're the farmers markets, of course. There is to be a new food hub, and a company called Retail Relay has now developed a system for home delivery and pickup delivery at their sites. They have further expanded the stores that participate into something they call Virginia's Bounty. I named my daughter Virginia. I am a Virginian, and it just thrills me to see people use the name in connection with the food community.
Meet the Farmer TV is made possible by Planet Earth Diversified, Melli Productions, and Leslie P. Jenkins Photography and Graphic Design, with additional support from Feast, connecting local farmers, artisan food producers, and consumers. Culpeper's Channel 21, helping to preserve the agricultural history of Virginia, and Flavor Magazine, serving the Piedmont's local food and wine culture.